Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where I have been doing some off-camera iterations on this design. And as you can see, this is an improvement. And I'll show you what the actual base design is. This is not perfect right now, but we're getting a lot better. This is an altitude of about 9 kilometers, and we're going to run out of fuel in these tanks here quite soon. Well, I say quite soon. In a while, but I'm curious to know what the actual peak apoapsis of this currently is. Keep in mind, our target is 26 kilometers for this engine to be able to reach 1.0 thrust to weight. That is our target right now. Obviously, we're missing that by some amount. But this is my best attempt yet, by a pretty wide margin. Previously, we were capping at about 2.5 kilometers. So this is looking decent. I think we might break 10 here by the time we run out of fuel. So that is a really, really good step. Are we going to break 10 kilometers? I think we well might. It's going to be close. We're 9.6 and a half right now. We are running out of fuel soon, and I'm curious to know what happens when we do run out of fuel. Now, as our airspeed drops, we enter into a bit of a spin, which is expected. But let's just do this, and yeah, we just nose right on down. We lack the thrust. That's expected. So we reached a peak of about 9.8 there. That's pretty decent. So this is a relatively scaled up iteration of what we had before, but it's not maximally scaled up. So I'll show you what we've got here. That is, as soon as we get back into the VAP. There we go. That is this. Now, note the number of vectors. There's a lot more than I would like, to be honest. And we can also do the top of this. So we can have it start here and then just work its way around. And I think that's what we're going to do. It's going to be wild looking. And this is already somewhat uncontrollable as we're lifting off. So we're probably going to have to make some adjustments to the center of mass versus center of pressure. This is really not ideal, but raising it up here is going to raise up our center of mass, which is going to be somewhat convenient. We'd rather have the center of mass be ahead of the center of lift, but I mean, it's workable for now. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate this guy, and we're going to put it in rotated like this. And then what we're going to do is we are going to just continue to do this all the way around here. So we got another one here. And we're just offsetting this mass. So we can put one here. One here. One here. And one right up over here. Cool. I don't necessarily love the angle that this one's sitting at. Let's grab the rotation tool and just tweak that to be about like so. Okay, so something like this. We're missing one out over this way. Selection tool, please. Duplicate this guy and place it right here. Okay, so something along the lines of this. This is not exactly perfect, but it'll do. Okay, so let's just run this fuel line. We're going to connect from... Fuel line, please. We're going to connect from here to here, and then from here to here. This is going to be really interesting. I've not scaled it up quite this much before. This is going to be a lot of thrust right off the bat. So if we do this number, like that, what is this going to look like for thrust to weight? Well, I have no idea because I don't know. Okay, stage 13. Yeah, this is going to be a little awkward to try to get this done. Okay, we're going to need to do something like this. Okay, we're going to move all of these in. These stages are going to be deleted. Okay, so there's going to be a fair amount of staging work needing to be done here, and I have no idea how this thing is going to control. I suspect it's going to want to nose up a lot, and we don't necessarily want this. We want to take advantage of our lift, right? We don't necessarily want to treat this like a rocket and just try to burn straight up. We'll see how that ends up going, though. So, For now, what we need to do is we need to have these detach from the outside in. So this one is going to be the very first one to detach here. Then it's going to be this one. If I can grab it. There we go. Then it's going to be this one. Cool. Then this one, I think that goes here. This guy, I believe, goes about here. There we go. And then there's this one, which should go, I think, approximately here. Let's see if that's correct. Yes, 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 yes. No. There's something off here. Yeah, this guy goes here. Okay. This should be relatively correct through here at this point. Yeah. Okay. So this is going to be kind of nuts. I have no idea how this thing is going to control or how these detachments are going to go. Let's save this for now. We might have to make some alterations there. And of course, delivering this is going to be interesting, but I am not too concerned about that for right now. Now, these are immediately breaking when we put this out on the pad, just presumably due to the weight. I'm going to retract the landing gear here. So let's see here. Retract. There we go. Let's just have these default to retracted for now. And let's put this out on the pad and see if it just instantly explodes. It might. Of course, lifting this on Kerbal is going to be a whole nother question. Well, it did not explode. That's... okay, that's not great there. Let's put this over on Eve before it shakes itself to pieces. Is it better on Eve? No. It's still trying to shake itself to pieces here. We've got a pretty major Kraken going on here. Are those not strutted? They might not be strutted. Okay, let's head back to the VAB and let's make sure that those are strutted. I may have forgotten to do that. May have gotten ahead of myself there. Let's see. That's probably the reason why that's happening, is my guess. It's quite the Kraken we had there. No doubt about that. This is a interesting, very, very Kerbal design. When all else fails... yeah, we didn't strut these. That's the problem. When all else fails, add more boosters. That's the way this works. Okay, so I'm going to strut these from here to here. And from here to here. There we go. And we're just going to go down this line and strut them like so. Now, we're probably going to end up changing the position of these boosters at some point. Although, if this just works, then we're probably going to be like, well, if it ain't broke. But for now... let's just do this and make sure that these are all nice and well connected. We'll do the same on the back here. So we're just going to make sure that these... not like that. Hang on. There we go. We're going to make sure that these are nice and connected. Now, getting this, as I said, into Kerbal orbit is going to be interesting. Also, I did not want to detach this. We'll put that back in there. Hopefully that didn't actually change that. No, it did not. Okay. Ooh, that's a lag spike. Okay, there we go. We appear to be back. Cool. Okay, let's just get these strutted together so that we don't have the Kraken, the anti-Kraken struts. Perfect. And out on the pad this thing goes. Excellent. So, we're going to take this over to Eve, of course. Let's teleport it right on over. And now the question is, how does this thing handle? I am guessing terrible. Absolutely terrible is my theory. Okay. This is probably to do with the are we sinking? We're sinking. Okay. So that is absolutely noted. Sinking is not great. Well, let's lift this off and start going up and see if we can't rotate ourselves over. The frame rate is not great here. Okay. So we want to be positioning ourselves somewhere around here. Ooh, this really wants to go up. Okay. This frame rate is very spicy. No doubt about that, although I'm not shocked about it. And it does want to nose up, as expected. So each one of these burn times is going to get slightly longer. I'm noticing that our detachment here is not phenomenal. However, it hasn't caused major issues yet. Okay, here goes another one. Yeah, this really wants to nose up. I'm trying to prevent it right now, and we're not succeeding. Okay, that's bad. We don't want to be doing this flip right now. Flipping is bad. Okay, let's ditch another one of these engines. And we want to be parking it somewhere around here-ish. Once again, we are uncontrollably nosing up, so this is to do with our mass distribution. That said, this should be getting a little bit better. As we ditch these, our mass distribution is improving, which is why this gets under control. Okay. So this is obviously slightly problematic here. We'll work on this. There goes another one. Cool. Just trying to even out our flight a bit here. This is definitely not ideal. That's for sure. The handling characteristics of this are mediocre at best, shall we say. Okay. So just trying to park right about here or so. I'm wondering what the overall altitude of this is going to be, but it's going to be a lot lower due to those aerodynamic characteristics. So that is something that we're going to have to tackle for sure. However, we've got this flight under control at this point, but we did lose a lot of speed. No doubt about it, and that momentum is what we're really counting on to carry us high enough. So that is going to be a significant issue for us. At this point, you can see that our apoapsis is 5 seconds away, and we're just going to continue burning about here. Each one of these burns gets longer and longer. So that's the way that this works, but that was an inauspicious takeoff. No doubt about that. Okay, let's ditch this one. Okay. You can see here we're still accelerating. We're going up through this first cloud layer. That is excellent. We are through a fairly thick portion of the atmosphere here. And we're at about 4.5 kilometers. Now, this could definitely be a lot further along without those aerodynamic issues. So we are going to have to address those for sure. And the fact that it wants to sink, that's not ideal either. Okay, so we're going to ditch these vectors here. And we're down to the last set of vectors here. You can see our time to apoapsis is going down right now. That means that we're going to need to nose down fairly soon. Our thrust to weight is just not quite where we want it to be at this point. So that means that I actually want to activate our hydrogen engine at this time. Now, it's not super efficient at this altitude. We could be a ways further along, though, and I wonder how far we could get without those wacky... Well, without the flip. The flip is, I think, the core issue there. Our surface velocity is continuing to increase for now. And we're making good progress here. We're further along than we were in the last test, even with the flip. So I feel like this is a step in the right direction, for sure. The question is this enough of a step in the right direction? So we're crossing the 10-kilometer marker now. That's excellent. But We lose our last set of vectors there, and that of course means that we're losing airspeed. We're trying to continue to push up that apoapsis, but we lost a lot of airspeed overall from our flip. So the question is, just how far is this going to take us? And at this point, our airspeed is still dropping. We're still 3 seconds away from the apoapsis, so that's noted. Okay, this is going to take us quite a ways. So we're going to get some additional altitude out of this eventually, but nose down is going to have to happen. So I'm going to nose us down here until we are increasing velocity, which we are right now. And at this point, we are just going to continue to have our apoapsis go up, but it's going to be very slow from here. So what we want is for this number to be at least twice as high once we get to this point. So we could definitely get a lot more velocity out of those engines that we had there. There's no doubt about that. If we fixed the aerodynamic characteristics, that would be what would need to happen. And that is something that we could do. Or at least be more prepared for that flip. The major problem that I have right now is that we have too much weight back in this wing section, so we probably need to move this forward a little bit. I'm not sure how much. And once we get to this point, of course, it's in the correct orientation. Now you can see here our surface velocity is going up at this level of climb, but it's very, very slow. We're burning a lot of fuel to gain not very much altitude at this point. So the question is, just how far can we go like this? All we need to do, remember, is get ourselves into orbit. That's all we need to do. So, I mean, I think 12 kilometers is probably the differentiation between this thickest portion and the next portion here. And we're definitely going to make 12 kilometers here. We're still increasing surface velocity at this point. And we've got a good long burn on these aerospike engines. No doubt about that. I do want to get lifted up further and faster, but that flip definitely cost us a lot of our airspeed. And the question is, just how high would we be right now if we didn't have that happening? And that's a very interesting question, actually, because this might be capable of making it to orbit at this point. We can actually see we're pushing out our time to apoapsis here. It's at 1 second. I'm wondering if we might make it this time, even with the flip. If we did, that would be astounding. It would be absolutely astounding. Now, we're not accelerating very much, and that's understood. But if we were able to gain enough altitude that our lift could be provided by the nuclear engine, then that gets us to orbit. Inefficiently, to be sure. But it gets us to orbit, in theory. I'm wondering how much fuel is left in that. Probably quite a lot. Nuclear engines are extremely powerful, but, I mean, all we gotta do is get to orbit, right? The flip certainly cost us a lot of that early airspeed, and that early airspeed is the most valuable, because that allows us to get significantly up in the atmosphere, and these engines will be a lot more efficient higher up. So that is definitely something to think about here. We're currently at about 13 kilometers altitude. And this is in ground mode right now, which ground and sea should be exactly the same in this area. But sea level altitude is what we really care about at this point. So we're looking at about 13.5. It's certainly an improvement, and I think we can get up to 14, 15. I don't think we can get too much higher than that. The real question is, can we continue to climb on the nuclear engine after these aerospikes run out at this altitude? I suspect the answer to that is no on this run, but I think that's down to losing all that airspeed early on. That was a huge amount of airspeed lost, and that cost us a large amount of verticality. And the verticality is the only thing that we care about here. Now, to be sure, getting up into orbit from Eve is very difficult. There's no doubt about that. But this is a very inspiring sign at this point. Now, we're almost out of fuel for our aerospike, and I don't think we're high enough altitude at this point for our nuclear engine to take over. We'll find out here in just a moment, but I don't think that this is going to be a successful attempt, but this is a really, really close to successful attempt. We're pushing 15 kilometers right now with a flip. This is a very, very good result. Okay, so the aerospike is out, and you can see our nose is heading downward. We're losing airspeed. The question is, are we going to level out here, or are we going to dive? That's the question. And you can also see we burned most of our hydrogen in that, so that's clearly, we need to get higher up for our hydrogen to get actually efficient. I don't want to be burning the hydrogen this low down. We don't have enough fuel to get into orbit for this attempt for sure, but I'm just wondering about the altitude. Honestly, I don't want to be burning the hydrogen until the aerospike is burned out, if at all possible. But I'm just wondering what our apoapsis is going to end up looking like here. We're going to burn out the hydrogen tank fairly soon, and I kind of want to just ride this out and see. But, I mean, we know it's not going to get into orbit. It's going to be like maybe 16 kilometers altitude. So, let's head back to the VAB, and let's make a couple of alterations here. Specifically, what I want to alter is we need to adjust the center of mass versus center of lift issue. So we need to move the wings forward slightly, I think. And the wings are currently non-detachable, by the way, but the idea here is that we're only going to be returning this component. So that is absolutely fine. So currently, if we go into our center of mass and center of lift, we can see our center of mass is in line there. That's a good sign. But the center of lift is in front of the center of mass, and we actually want it to be slightly behind. So I would like to grab our wings here. And this is most of our mass that's going to be moved along with it. That is not updating as we move it. Oh, that's awkward. Okay. So most of our mass is moving along with it, but what this then means is we can take some of this mass and move it backwards on the wing. So we can come in here as soon as this lag spike is over. There we go. I think that's like a garbage collection or something. We can then grab this guy, and we can just crank it backwards as soon as this garbage collection is over. And we can put that about here. Hang on, we need to go the other way, don't we? Yeah, we need to go the other way. What am I doing? What is... I'm not clicking on anything right now. Can we not be doing this? I did not click on this. Okay, sure. Yeah, we need to be going the other way with this. So what we need to do then is we need to bring these forward. Boy, this is very tedious. It keeps freezing when I click to move this. Okay, it's not kind of doing it this time. Okay, there we go. So we need to move this forward, and then we need to move the overall wing itself backward. So the wing is going to be somewhere back here. Again, it's very tedious because it keeps freezing with garbage collection or something. And we'll just put the wing about here or so. And then these guys, they're going to need to move a bit forward, which is going to be awkward for us because that's going to make it harder to have clean disconnections. But we're going to need to place this probably somewhere around here. And that moves our center of mass forward a little bit. Then we're going to need to move this one up. Again, these garbage collections are huge. Did it not select that? It did not select it. Cool. Can we select this, please? There we go. Okay. Game is only mildly responsive at this point. Okay, so we're going to move that forward to be about here or so. And that is just slowly moving our center of mass forward. And that is indeed exactly what needs to happen here. So we'll just place this guy about here. continuing to move that center of mass a little bit forward. The bottom ones, it's controllable with, but I would still like to move some of them. What do you... No, this is not what I wanted you to move. Can you not do that? KSP2, that would be great. We're going to grab this guy. There you go. And now we're going to move this forward. Yeah, like that. You got it. Cool. So next up is going to be this one. And we're just continuing to bring this forward. If it's within the circle here, it's going to be, I think, a little too controllable. But for now, this will do. So I'll just put this guy right up over here. I'm a little concerned about our exhaust plumes maybe taking out our wing, but we'll see if that happens. Okay, this one should be about here. And then this guy should be moved forward a bit as well. To somewhere around here or so, maybe a little further than that. Yeah, somewhere around here. And then on the bottom, we're going to keep moving them forward. So this one is going to be, as soon as we get caught up, there we go. This one is going to be moved forward to be about here. There we go. And next up is going to be this guy, which is, if I can grab it. There we go. Cool. This guy is going to be moved forward to be somewhere around... I wish I could see right now. I really wish that those garbage collections would stop. Okay, so that's going to be somewhere around... Can we update, please? There we go. Somewhere around there. Okay. So next up, we're going to grab this one. That is going to end up being somewhere around here. We're just moving these ever so slightly forward. This guy is currently sliding. Okay, that's exciting. We're going to place him somewhere around here. There we go. Next one is going to be moved a bit forward as well. That's going to go around... here or so. I'm not sure what went wrong with this one. Hang on. Let's reselect here. And this is approximately right. Okay. And then we've got this one, which I'm going to leave exactly where it is. I'm pretty content with that. Okay, so this is going to be, I think, a little over-maneuverable if we look at where the center of mass is, but we can maybe adjust the wings here. Yeah, that's going to be so much of the mass. Okay, let's see what it feels like flying it like this. I think this is going to be overly controllable. I don't think this is going to be particularly stable. But let's put this out on the pad and see what happens real quick here. I'm not going to do a full duration flight for this one. We're just going to see how the takeoff goes. I'm still a little bit concerned as well about the fact that we were sinking. That's not ideal either. Is this actually teleporting? I don't know. Game is frozen, right? No, game is not frozen. You teleporting? No. No, you are not. I'm hitting the teleport button and nothing is happening. Okay, that is exciting. Let's change up the longitude a little bit. We are not teleporting. Okay. Well, game appears to be mildly broken right now. I don't have an explanation for this. Well, I guess I'm going to save it here, and I'm going to try to fix this problem. I don't know why it's not allowing us to teleport, but maybe a simple game restart would fix this. I will test that, and we'll get this flight done next episode. We're getting really close to getting this thing out of the atmosphere of Eve. we're getting really, really close. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.